Hey now, what's going on, the
Hey,
tube
friend.
of you? We are starting the show. As you know, we have to get into the branding. So let's have a little party, shall we? All right, all right. Welcome, welcome.
Welcome you
As
back.
you know, on this Monday evening, as you know, we do a little bit of pop culture and world news at the start of the show. So let's get right on into it. If you are watching this
Well,
live
first
over
of
on the
all, we're black and curious. I'm Kandron. That's Dehjai.
hey,
What are you drinking?
I'm having some Cabernet Sauvignon, little 19 Crimes.
Excellent. I am
So
having Black Girl Magic Rosé, which I absolutely need. It was my first day back in the office, and wow, much.
we're gonna pray for
Okay.
Kendra as she transitions back into the office, as many Americans are. Actually, funny you should say that. So, in U.S. news, everybody's
Yes.
president is urging for Americans to get back into the office, and gas prices is high as hell. In some places, it's
Man.
like $7, $8.
Yeah, girl, you're
Like,
supposed to have a drink.
yes, boo. Normally, we'll flip it a little bit, so give you time to go get your drink while I talk about all the pop culture stuff. But no
Yeah.
worries, go get it now, boo. But yeah, like this came out yesterday where he's wanting for Americans to be back in the office, stating basically that like the pandemic is over. But meanwhile,
Mm-hmm.
gas is like $1 trillion. So I don't know about you,
Girl,
but I ain't going nowhere.
my thing is like, actually don't mind going to work a couple days a week. I like my coworkers a lot. Like literally all of us came in today like
It
here
was a
you
reunion.
are. Oh my god. Like, so I like my coworkers. It's not that big of a deal, but these gas prices are an impediment.
Girl.
And it's only
Okay.
two
And if
days
you
a week.
live
It's only
far,
2 days a week for me.
but still, if you live a good distance from your job, you really spending
And
money
I
to
do.
get to and fro.
Yeah, and I do. So
Like,
girl, I'm just
child.
gonna be grateful that I have the you know ability to get to and fro, even if gas prices are incredibly high. But I don't.
Hello?
That's not how I intend to spend my money. That's not how I want to spend my money.
That
Yeah.
part.
So
So the next thing that I picked up, of course, world news, as we know, is some things going on across the pond between Russia and Ukraine. And now we've heard, if you're listening to the news, of course, you've heard that a lot of
mhm.
countries are putting all types of sanctions on Russia in terms of their exports. Now TikTok and Netflix have joined the sanction crew, and they have banned their app in Russia. So they don't have
Yeah,
access to that right now, which
there have been
I'm like,
news sites too that have been banning because they're not able to, like, basically they've criminalized telling the truth and
yeah,
calling it an actual war. So like the news is like, well, we can't tell the truth. So like we don't want to leave, but like we don't really have a choice. We can't put our journalists in jeopardy behind
hello,
this, you know.
that part. I also would
That's
say, like, in terms of the major exports, we've been hearing about that for the last week or two, that a lot of the NATO countries are basically cracking down, like, you can't get this and you can't get that. But that means that's why our gas is high as hell, because Russia is the world, I think, one of the world's leading exports for, or imports for gas and oil. So, like, in the
it is.
meantime, we're going to be
Mm-hmm.
paying out the wazoo. I'm about to
Mm-hmm.
get a bike. Like, I'm
Yeah.
just biking, okay?
Seriously.
She's gonna put it to work.
If I lived where you live and in proximity to your job, I would get a bike. Certainly would. Yeah.
I'm saying, like, because
Or take
otherwise,
some sort of
like, I'll
public
be,
transportation if you can or whatever, but I would not be driving.
girl. No, for what? May as well just, pedal it to work.
Yeah.
Um, The last story that I have in actual pop culture, Chris Brown is allegedly being sued by his housekeeper to the tune of $50 million. There was an alleged pet attack. One of his dogs attacked her. And I got this report from BET. Let me actually pull this up so I have the exact details here for you guys.
Yeah.
So what's going on
Hi,
is that
Kamana.
he's being sued by the housekeeper to the tune of $50 million, like I said, over an incident with one of the dogs. And it's like one of those huge, like massive style dogs. They're really, really big. According to Radar Online, it says that Jane Doe is seeking 20 mil for pain and suffering, 20 mil for emotional distress, and 10 million for loss of wages.
Child,
$50 million.
$50 million, child.
I'm like, but when I read through the article some more, it's a little gruesome. You can find it on BET.com. But it was some knowledge around her being found in a pool of blood, and he didn't necessarily, like, he's alleging that he didn't know that it was a dog attack, but like it describes like her having like chunks of her flesh gone. I'm just like, yeah, y'all can go read that. We don't have to bring that here to the show, but that's what's happening. So if y'all have any stories or things that you come across, please send them to the Black and Curious DMs, and we'll talk about it next week.
Yes.
Now we started on YouTube. Now on to the mess.
Yeah. We're gonna do Kandi and the Gang, Real Housewives of Salt Lake City, and Ladies Who List Atlanta. Let us know in the comments if there's something else that you're watching. I probably am also watching it, so I'm happy to do a little quick recap. But yeah, let's get to it. Where do you want to start?
Yes, let's do it. Kandi and the Gang, because I was actually talking about that on the stories last night. So if you watched the stories, you got my opinion so far.
Well, I didn't watch the whole entire episode, but child.
It's going to make for good TV. I will give you that. It's going to make for good TV. The biggest thing that I talked about last night was the new operations manager that's coming in. He's coming in very hot and heavy. I don't remember what his name was. Philip. Okay. Yeah. Philip is coming in very hot and heavy and wildly disrespectful. And my stance at this point is I don't really care for Philip too much. Like I'm the
exact opposite.
I get being there in terms of like, okay, well, I'm the captain of this ship and we all need to get on one accord. Cool, I got it. But also at the same token, the things that you've observed, because he's been coming into the restaurant for the last couple of weeks. So the things that he had observed, he should have brought to light and then said, these are the things that are going to change. So that you set the tone properly. Coming in hot and heavy and disrespectful about what you don't have time for and so on and so forth. Like that's Because the other thing that I look at is now your other employees are looking at how you've handled this one person and they're not going to want to work for you.
I disagree. I think Philip is coming in from a perspective of like, I worked for fine dining establishments. I quit my fine dining establishment job to come work for Kandi. Kandi hired me for a job, and I'm getting ready to come whip this thing into shape. And they did have a conversation. Kandi and Todd had the conversation of like, hey, Philip's going to be the manager. He's going to be the blah, 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 or the whatever he is. And like instantly somebody is whatever her name is. And honestly, I think he had to check her to set an example. Like, I'm not putting up with that. You can go. I'm not going to put up with that. I'm not even going to placate that for a half a second. You can go.
Yeah, but it just, I don't know.
And he tried to pull her to the side. He tried to, but he tried to pull her to the side.
He didn't care to have no conversations with her.
Well, she was pulled to the side via Don Juan or whoever. That they had a separate conversation of like, look, you got to chill. And I feel like, honestly, it seems like they have been through a lot of management changes and this has always been like an issue. So it's like, you're going to have like, especially with it being family and friends and all of that stuff that are at the restaurant, you're going to have to come in there with a firm hand and be like, I'm not a family and friend. I'm here to do my job. And I'm not playing games with y'all. And I think he had to set that example. And honestly, I think Kandi needs to get out of the middle of it because she's a bleeding heart. And she's like, well, he didn't have to send her home. Like, I don't. And Todd is like, no, she was mouthing off. Like, no, we hired him to do a job. She needs to sit down and let Todd and Philip get everything together.
So
She can deal with the
a whole new
OLG.
crew
She
of
can deal
people
with
in
the,
there.
and I think that's fine. And that's why she needs to get out of the middle of it, because she's going to stop any progress and any flip turning over of, staff, because she has a personal attachment to those people.
True, because
And
they were there
I
when she
don't think
started.
Todd, yeah. And so she's like very much into loyalty, but if people are not doing their job and or are being nasty, and you're getting negative reviews at your business of like customers complaining about this person and saying this person is rude, and that's your front desk, that's your gatekeeper, yeah, you have to rein that in.
Yeah, but I agree with you on reining that in. I just think it could have been done better. That's all.
Yeah. I don't think she
about the rest of the people.
I don't think she would have responded to better, to be honest with you. But I didn't even watch the whole thing. I didn't watch the whole thing. I just saw that part. I watched a few minutes and then I went to bed.
So for Kandi and the Gang, basically there's the main bartender is a professional dancer who dances for a lot of different celebrities. Mm-hmm. But she also has some sort of sexual chemistry relationship of sorts with the fill-in operational manager. He's also a manager. I just don't remember what his title is, because he stepped up in the meantime when they did not have a GM. So basically he's like the assistant GM, I guess. But yeah, so he and the bartender are canoodling. So that's going to be interesting to see this season. They also brought in another greeter or whatever hostess from the Blaze restaurant. So he's there and watching how she operates, and he's just kind of like, oh, this is not going to work. So they're probably going to have a blow up there. It's going to be all types of things. Basically, the first episode was more or less them introducing us to the cast, what all the conflicts are, and seeing how the actual old lady gang fits into the mix. One thing that I did find very surprising was that Aunt Nora is the oldest, and she looked younger than the other two.
Man, when I say I tweeted that Aunt Nora looks so good.
Hell yeah. Aunt Nora be getting around at that. And then when she sat down and said
like
82. She said that she was going to toss somebody over a table. And I was like, you know what, Aunt Nora, you might be able to do it.
Like, I believe it. Yeah.
Like, you might be able to do it, sis. Like, I don't have no doubt at that. I'll put my money on you. Because what the hell? I mean, she was not playing no games, but the other two, I'm like, maybe the younger sister, well, the baby is Mama Joyce, but the Aunt Bertha, maybe she just had health issues or something that we're not privy to.
Yeah, maybe. But no, Aunt Nora looks
even Aunt Joyce still looks good. Or Aunt Joyce, Mama Joyce still looks good. But yeah, Aunt Nora out here killing.
Somebody on Twitter called it candy pump rules. I was like, y'all know what?
But you mean it's accurate. It's very accurate.
Be dying. Yeah. That's it. I mean, like I said, I didn't finish the episode. Okay, where are we going next? Housewives of Salt Lake City or
Child, I didn't watch that, so go ahead into the Housewives of Salt Lake. What's the
my feelings are the same. First of all, Mary is not there. Keep Mary's name out of your mouth. Y'all ran her off. Now keep her name out of your mouth.
Hello?
Then they're talking about Mary. They're talking about her congregation member who's deceased. He was on last season.
Talking about him?
And it's like, y'all talking about him and Mary, and neither one of them are here. So, like, let's move on. Okay? Move on. Who else? So, that got on my nerves. I'm going to leave bad weather till the end. What else? Sorry, I'm on the tweets here trying to figure out what I said. I usually take better notes. Lisa don't know how to apologize.
Lisa don't want to apologize. That's the vibe I got.
She did. She seemed like, she really did apologize. And she was just like, I'm so sorry. But then she followed it up with like, well, I heard blah, blah, blah. And it's like, girl, that was not the follow-up that you should have given to that conversation. I didn't know that Meredith is an attorney. And it was so funny. Meredith is an attorney.
Really?
She is, and it makes sense. The way she logics things out and the way she was setting them up. made a lot of sense. And it was funny because Andy pointed it out. Andy was like, because right at the end of each section, she was asking like follow-up questions, but it was like a pointed question, especially at Lisa. So she was like, okay, so just Andy, I have a question. So Lisa, in that situation, did you think that I had your back? Was I supportive of you? And Lisa was like, yes, you were. And Andy was like, you're really laying the groundwork over there, aren't you? And she was like, I am an attorney. So then when it came back to the Lisa and Meredith back and forth, it was funny because Bravo being Bravo, they actually laid it out like Exhibit A, and they ran that part back, and then Exhibit B, and then got to the conversation. So that was a mess, but funny,
ultimately petty. Bravo stay on the petty side.
Ultimately petty. What else? Bad weather. Man, let me tell you, they are so pleased with themselves that Lisa and Meredith are not friends anymore. They are so pleased with themselves. Like the smirks that they had on their faces, it was just like, y'all are so pleased with yourselves. And it's disgusting. It is disgusting.
Did they have something to do with the demise of their relationship?
No, but I think they planted the same way they planted seeds with everybody else. They planted seeds. So like it was Whitney, I think, that was like really questioning the timing on Meredith's dad. And so she was like, well, she was saying to Lisa, like, you and Heather don't have the same timeline. So that's when they started to try to clarify with Meredith. And Meredith was like, my dad, like, what are you talking about? I was in the bathtub when you called. So that's why there was a discrepancy, because she was in the bathtub. She wasn't actually at the memorial, but she was in location of the memorial. So it's like, right. But Whitney planted that seed.
I'm just like that. Why? I'm still lost on why.
They are just vile. They're gross. They need a storyline, and so they keep stirring mess up. And the thing that gets on my nerves is like Bravo is not paying enough attention to them. Like shine the spotlight on them, because they have kept every bit of mess stirred up this season, every bit, and added razzle dazzle on it.
Especially
I can't stand them. I cannot stand them.
So my question is, did they talk about the legal woes of Whitney's husband and her?
No. Not yet. There's one more part, so maybe next part, but no, they haven't done
They ain't talked about it in the first two. They ain't finna talk about that.
Well, they didn't do it yet. And then what else? I just want to shout out the people on Twitter. Some MAGA lady came in I was talking about how vile Whitney is. I have been clear that I don't like Whitney. I have been clear about that from episode 1. I have gotten up here every week and dragged this lady. So Thanks. I'm clear on where I stand with her. So I was tweeting, minding my business. Right. And she looked like a MAGA lady. I went to her profile. It didn't say MAGA, but it looked MAGA. And so based on like what she was retweeting and stuff, it was like the Freedom Caucus and all that junk. So she came in my mentions and was like, well, I like her. And I was like, you're entitled to that, but I think she's vile. Like, and she came back and was like, it's just Bravo. It's not that serious. Nothing to start a war over. And I kindly did not respond to her whatsoever. I actually muted her. I thought about blocking her, but I just muted her. And 2 people came back and was like, girl, you did too much. Nothing she said was incorrect. Whitney is vile, and it wasn't even that serious.
Hello? Like just because you like somebody doesn't mean that other people do or have to.
I don't know. So that was that.
Thank you to the folks in the Twitter streets coming to Kane's defense.
Because I was done with it. I definitely just muted her and was like, girl, moving on.
That's like the people that be in the YouTube comments when they make statements that don't make no sense.
It's like, girl, what are you talking about?
So we just gonna let you cook right there. That's all I got for you.
Yeah. Do you want to do Ladies Who List, or you want to do Ready to Love, or what else we got? That's it.
Let's do Ladies Who List, because I feel like that's not gonna be a long conversation.
Yeah, it's quick.
So, as predicted, last live, I said that Kiana was not going to be there, and she wasn't. And then Kandron told me yesterday or today that
I know to Kiana.
I'm like, yeah, that she was in the mentions. Like, tell the people what happened, Can.
Oh, I just tweeted out that she wasn't gonna be involved with this ghetto shit, and she replied back and was like, "LOL," and wasn't, and then put the Nene, the ghetto gift or whatever.
The
So
ghetto.
I thought that was funny, and then somebody else was funny. Somebody else dropped down and was like, "I came here to put that meme down here, so you beat me to it." So, anyways, the girls were getting a cackle out of that because Kiana was like, "No, ma'am."
I like Kiana. I wish that she was still a part, but I understand not wanting to tarnish her brand with the
Absolutely.
cattiness of this show and how it's being spent, as opposed to it being like a not what is that show on Bravo where they're selling houses in New York? What is it called?
Oh, I know what you're talking about. I don't watch it, but I know what you're talking about.
I've watched it. I don't watch it now, but I used to watch it before. But they have a New York franchise and one that's in LA, and there was barely any like cattiness with the cast. Like there's been some over the couple of years that they've been on, but not to the extent that Ladies Who List was. And it's just kind of like this is not, like if you want to have a prestigious type of environment and show that Black women are out here selling luxury properties and living fabulous lives, they can do all of that without having to have no drama. And I think that was what Kiana's point was. Yeah, Selling Sunset is on Netflix, but the show that's on Bravo, it's called something else. I know what you're talking about. But yeah, so either way, I feel like the show, if Kiana would have stayed, if the show was more like the other real estate shows on Bravo. But because it's not, sis was like, I'm out of there. But I also am still disappointed that she wasn't there to speak for herself. Because, I mean, you could have said your piece and then got right on off that show.
Yeah. But I also think that the issue was pretty well resolved with Crystal. And I appreciated that Crystal Tiana and Tiffany kind of made space for Crystal when she was talking about her miscarriage and stuff. And, not being a mother and stuff like that. So I think that was enough. That cleared it up enough. I thought that went double for Kiana, and I was like, that was enough. What does Kira do? What does Kira do? I can't understand what her place.
She's also a luxury agent. She's just one of the younger of the group. But yeah.
No, I know she's an agent. I know what she does technically, but I'm like, she doesn't have any relationships on this show. Like she wasn't really mixy to me.
The only relationship that she really had that was tight was Kiana. I think she might be a broker, or not a broker, but an agent under Kiana's business, the Watson Realty Co.
Maybe.
And then she has a relationship with Tiffany because that's who her closing attorney is. Because remember, there was a whole lot of drama around Crystal trying to poach Kira from Tiffany. And that conversation, I feel like it fell on deaf ears. I don't really feel like Crystal received the criticism that what she was doing was foul. I don't think she received any of it. I think she made a lot of excuses for her behavior. And then came the waterworks, which has people tends to get people to be a little bit softer on you if you're crying and distraught about something. So they didn't want to, read her rights. I thought it was interesting though that Tiana came over to her and was just kind of crouched down in front of her asking well, how is it that you want us to show up when in regards to your emotional space when we are mothers and this is the experience that we're having? What is it that we can say that would not offend you or affect you in a way that diminishes your experience so you feel, or whatever the case. I don't know. I didn't buy Crystal. I don't know. It's whatever. Because it's very back and forth, very combative. And then it's oh, woe is me because da. And it's just kind of you could have either said that from the jump, no, I'm not a mother in this sense that you all have the experience, but I have been pregnant and carried a child and then I had a miscarriage. But also, she don't have to tell nobody that. That's her personal business. I don't know. I'm just lost on the experience in terms of what was going on.
Yeah, fair enough. Robin was Robin reunion. I was like, girl, why you gotta keep getting up? I don't understand it.
Robin gives me, it ain't gonna be too many words that I won't say to you before I put my hands on you.
I think that I agree with you, but also maybe not, maybe you should get that together.
Agreed.
Especially in a professional working environment. Maybe you should get that together.
You can't keep rushing people because you're gonna rush the wrong person and they're gonna knock you on your ass, and that's gonna be the end of that.
That's kind of it. It was kind of boring a little bit. I mean, it wasn't like boring, but I just didn't find the season to be particularly compelling. They hashed out their couple of little issues, and that was that. So we can move on.
Mm-hmm. So what is next? Ready to Love?
Yeah.
I'm gonna just say off top, Clifton is fine as hell. Like Clifton is just he just gives me cuddly, snuggly, just fine as hell with the Barry White deep voice. Like, that is definitely Dehjai's type. He is a beautiful piece of man.
He's quite good looking. Who got sent home?
Comb Over did. I still don't remember her name.
Oh, when Precious? Was it Precious?
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm. That's right.
Yeah.
That's a shame. I still call that lady Comb Over.
That was the right answer. Yeah. I thought that was the right answer. I did not like them I think they need to edit this show because I didn't like them putting the other lady in the bottom. What's her name?
Oh, Joy. Yeah, I was like, why is Joy a part of this equation?
I don't like.
We knew she wasn't going home.
Also, but I understand that this would have probably kept two people that I really hated last season. But I think like once they have locked in on a connection and they have decided like this is my person, if they're mutual in that, I feel like they should be able to pair off and not be at risk of getting kicked off because they're focused on each other. Like that's the point, is to focus on one person or narrow it down to one person. Yeah. It just, I don't know. The fact that at this point in the process in particular, they're still getting dinged for not having multiple connections just is kind of like, I guess.
Which is why I was very much here for Joy reading Homeboy Without the Eyebrows his rights. Because like, what? So basically what you're telling me that all of y'all are mad because I have settled in on the person that it is that I want.
Exactly.
Wow, that's the purpose of this show and this experience. Like she literally said that. And I was not mad at her for that. She was just like, I basically shot the messenger, but like still it needed to be said.
Yeah. Was what it was. I ain't sorry. So that's kind of
you shouldn't have to be, because that's the whole point. I'm interested to see. Well, for one, I'm irritated that the storyline from previous season is playing out in this one. So at the end, if you caught the last couple of preview seconds for the next episode, basically Dehjai and Eric have some sort of beef, and then she's like, "I don't want to date him anymore."
Oh yes, yes.
And I'm like, really? This just happened in the last season, so now this is happening again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
like, I didn't care for that. What's really going on? I don't know that I guess we'll have to wait and see what's happening. But on the outset, looking at that preview, I just don't buy it. I feel like it's BS.
Yeah,
I don't feel like it's real. I feel like it's fabricated from the previous season because you ended up having two people. Well, no, whatever her name was, didn't come to the reunion for the last season. So I guess the intent of recreating the same story is for them to both meet together at the reunion and have some sort of like tete-a-tete or whatever.
Sure.
I don't know.
I was like, boring. All right, cool, whatever. Yeah, I'm not moved by any of these couples in particular. They all right. I like Joy,
Clifton and Joy.
Clifton, yeah, I like them. But for the most part, I'm kind of like, all right. Let's move on.
Same. I'm not really worried about the others one way or the other. So peace out.
Yeah, same. Same.
I don't really have much else to say about Ready to Love because it was boring.
Me neither. It was. I don't even remember what was the activity.
The guys had to take out their number 2 choices. So
I was going to say, I like that episode. I always like that episode, the number 2 choice, because sometimes it shakes things up and like gives them different perspective. I think it did shake up some.
That happened a little bit for Clifton and Dehjai.
Yeah, I think so too. It's always like that. Yeah, I think this is probably my favorite episode on Ready to Love. So, but that's it, child.
That's random. Hey, everybody pop in the room. We're talking about reality TV. So this may not
Yeah.
be your cup of tea, but hey, thanks for joining.
Thanks for
Um,
joining.
as for the predictions, I feel like who do you think is like the wild card that's going to be together after this episode?
None of these. I don't find any of these couples convincing, to be honest. I think Clifton and Joy they could make it for a little while, but after that they're gonna break up too. Like I don't find any of these couples to be convincing at all.
Oh no, I'm really here for Clifton and Joy. I hope that they actually make it. I feel like if they were on the Love Is Blind cast, I feel like they would be married for sure at the end. Oh, one thing that I did want to mention was that date that Comb Over and the Tory had. Like
Oh God, so awful.
they excuse my language, but they are absolutely fucking. I think that they was fucking long before. Like they met each other and like that was all she wrote. Sealed the deal. Because like the way they was talking to each other and like her whole thing trying to act like she was shy and not really, into the conversation. Like, girl, you was always into the conversation until they called you a party girl.
That's true.
Like, what are you talking about? You was all down for it before, and then when they started calling you the party girl, then it was an issue.
What's the lady who the chef guy was formerly dating, or they messed around? I think they were probably
Carmen and Eric.
Carmen and Eric.
I think that they absolutely had some facts.
I'm not sure.
I don't think that they got to the business though of it all. I think that they probably got close and it just never happened.
Okay, girl, sure.
I don't know. I just get that. That's the vibe that I get because the way Eric talks about her, it's just kind of like a whatever. Like, yeah, she's been around. She's cool, but it was never nothing like that. So I took her out to see what it was.
It gives me a special friend, but I don't want to date you type of vibe. That's what it gave me. Like, yeah, you good, you cool.
It's a few people that have the special friend status.
Yeah. So that's it. Ciao.
Ain't too much going on. So what were you actually curious about this week, if anything?
Oh, girl, my life.
Don't steal my answer, ma'am.
Trying to figure out my life, man. What were you curious about this week?
Mine actually is similar, my life, and like what it is that I'm going to be doing next. Considering that I've really wanted to relocate and move out to Texas. Shout out to my Texans. Hey, y'all. And trying to see if that's even a viable experience considering my,
I hit the mic. Sorry, y'all gonna hear that on YouTube.
No worries. Considering my latest health issues, I'm curious to know if this is long lasting or if it is also like stress induced because I suffer with hemiplegic migraines and migraines in general can be stress induced. So I'm wondering like if my scenery is different, work environment, all that kind of stuff, how I'll fare that way. Because if I find, then I'm out of here. Like I've been wanting to relocate. So anywho, that brings us to the end of this week's show. Please comment, subscribe, and like. Since you guys are watching the replay over here on YouTube. Hey, Instagram. And we will see you next week.
Same time, around about the same time, same place. Bye, y'all.
Bye-bye. And all right, I'll fix that in a minute. And bye, YouTube, girl.